Hey everybody, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. It is paper pumpkin time. Things have been really hectic because my parents are moving here, if you can believe that. So every day we are doing logistics stuff, and they will be staying with us. We have a fifth wheel that lives under a port, and that will be their home base while they look for a place to buy here. So I have been quite busy. I know by the name Autumn Abundance that it is probably going to have some fall to the theme. I have not kept up with or seen anything for this month's Paper Pumpkin, and this is one of the months that I'm always a little bit hesitant because I am not a Halloween person, and I notice in the last few years that they tend to lean toward fall and autumn, or at least have fall and autumn as an option. Where earlier years, where I was a subscriber and doing the alternatives, it was very Halloween oriented. So this makes me very happy. Hub brought this home, by the way, so it just like appeared on my desk. A couple of days ago, I had a medical thing, a procedure to do, so this is my first time up and about and feeling like I can tackle the paper pumpkin. So let's see what's inside. We will set the stamp set aside till I get the art for that, the artwork. We have Cajun Craze, very fall color. Very appropriate. I have some very exciting news. My upline Libby is coming to visit me, and she's coming in November. And she's coming right when Paper Pumpkin will come. So it's possible that I might do the November should be the winter/Christmas card version. October tends to be or the October might be the cards, and then usually it coordinates with November, which is often tags or something holiday related. So it's possible I will come up with some extra fun things to do for that, even if I don't actually get to posting the footage until after she leaves. So I am very excited. It will be my second time seeing her in a year. Now, keep in mind that we were co-workers, and I was moved from the IT department into her department, the marketing department, at this company, a very large company in Washington State. And so, I'm used to seeing her every day. So for since I left, actually, we've been virtually virtually card making once a month, if not more. And then I typically see her in the fall. I will go up each year, have for the last 3 years, to North Carolina. And then when I moved here to Florida, she came for the first winter we were here for, and we did a mini retreat with some other card making friends. And so we have seen each other twice a year. This year I was anticipating not even seeing her at all, and she had a family event here in January. Well, or was it? Might have been February. And so I got to see her husband and her mother-in-law, which was lovely. They stayed with us, and so I am so excited to see her a second time this year. I have found the artwork. We have Thinking of You, Sending Autumn Wishes Your Way. Love that. That is one of the more unique sentiments I have seen, and I will be using that extensively. We have With Thanks. That's also a really good one. And then a sprig, fall leaf. Not sure what that is. A little, I don't know, maybe a mushroom top. A little swirly thing, a rock, a leaf. Oh, it's a snail. There's the snail, and then there's the back of the snail. I get it. I did it out of order. Alrighty. So that will be fun to do something with a snail. This will be perfect on the outside of the envelopes. and the inside of the cards. All right, so that takes care of that. We have dimensionals, 3 white core square mats, 3 small envelopes that have color on the inside. So being that I make all A2 cards, these envelopes will for sure be taken apart. And let's make sure the color goes all the way down, and it does. So I can take this bit, and these are 2 separate pieces. So I can get 2 pieces out of each of these envelopes. That is lovely. We have 3 envelopes with a lovely blue interior. This actually almost looks like there's text. There's a little distressing going on. And a lovely array of leaves. These envelopes I will definitely use as envelopes. And then the curve of this means you would have to cut off a bit of the bottom if you wanted this to be a decorative layer on a card front. So these I would be inclined to keep as envelopes. I will be using these, I am sure, for my autumn cards. I've already started them, and I usually make right around 20 to send out and give away. Now that I'm in a community, I have some fancier ones I can make that are just outside of the norm for mailing, which is fun, so that I can hand deliver them. So we've got 3 more leaf envelopes with the Cajun craze inside, and again I will probably be keeping those as envelopes. Here are the bases for these small cards. Cut in half, use them for layering up. White core. So this is a very vanilla, and I should point out that the envelopes are very vanilla, so they're very, very pretty. Very elegant looking. I love an elegant fall card. Okay, card base number 2. Absolutely fantastic with there's actually, I hope you can see it, just in the right light, there is a little bit of a distressed lighter yellow on the very vanilla. And it has beautiful copper foil. Fantastic, love it. White core, so if you wanted to emboss with like a leaf pattern, the fern pattern, and then do some sanding just to give it a little more of a distressed look to it, I am sure these would look fantastic. I will absolutely be cutting those up. Die cuts. Really nice die cuts. There's a snail. So cute. Snail, mushroom, all of the beautiful, typical autumn woodsy elements. And then we have, this is a label or a layer. So cute. 2 sheets. Oh, look at that. The 3rd card bases. Okay, very unique. Look at that. With the copper. Wow. I am pretty impressed. I am used to the fall and winter kits to be pretty spectacular, but that's very, very impressive to me. We have some labels. One sheet. We have die cuts. Again, more die cuts. Copper. Stitching. I can't quite, there we go. Hopefully you caught that. Beautiful copper leaves, wow. We've got some, like a part half wreath, green and copper. Beautiful. One sheet of those. I'm going to go out on a limb, no pun intended, that these were for the small card bases that I will be configuring and using to make A2 size cards. And now we have beautiful sprigs coordinating with the envelopes and the bases. These are pretty delicate. Ooh. Look at that. Nice. Some fall colored leaves, same shape as the copper. I have finally gotten to the bottom of the pile, and the only thing left is the double-sided dots. So this one, I'm seeing no embellishments, no trims. So the biggest contribution that I can make to this fantastic kit is embossing folders for some texture. Remember, this is a white core, so I could see this being beautiful with an embossed treatment, and then my sanding block, which if you have not seen, I will share it with you. I share it almost every kit. It is one of the best tricks that I have in my arsenal of tricks. So bling and trim. I will be coming back with those in a bit. I wanted to reveal the colors. We already know Cajun Craze. So we've got Cajun Craze, Crumb Cake, Crushed Curry, Early Espresso, Night of Navy, Pecan Pie, Poppy Parade, Pumpkin Pie, Very Vanilla, and Wild Wheat. There is the coordinating dies that you can purchase. It's an add-on, so you have to already be a subscriber, though I suspect if you are here watching this video, you already are a subscriber. So the next fun part is I will take everything else out of the die cut sheets. I will start creating the added supplies and the prep, and if anything interesting pops up, I will come in and share it with you. And then we always do the mix and match of a bunch of pieces. I might demo some stuff, and then at the very end I have a showcase of at least 20 alternative designs for you to be inspired. So stay tuned, and I will be back shortly. All right, I am back. I've got some prep, and then we can go right into added supplies. Pardon me. Well, we'll do that for added supplies. So for prep, I did indeed cut apart some of the pieces for you, and then I do have a very fun bonus technique that I highly recommend that you do. And I think I'm just going to have to show you the finished pieces because I'm looking around for, we had like 3 die cut sheets with some extra little critters. Nope, I'm looking in the garbage is what I'm doing. Okay, so we have a snail, a mushroom, and a wood. A cut piece of wood, cut through the middle. So we're going to do something really fun with the negative of that. I've done it in the past, but it hasn't presented itself for a while. So we will be doing something with the negatives of that I will share with you. I cut the wood card base into 3 pieces. I do think this is an excellent masculine card base. So I'm basically going to, I could even take this wood piece and do a horizontal and cut it into thirds. So if you at all are like me and have a lot of men in your family or people who would prefer gender neutral type cards, cut these 3 into as many pieces as you can devise to stretch. This will give me 9 cards if I don't cut the big trunk cut piece. But if I cut it into like a thin and a thick, or 3 thins, then I can get 5 card focal front pieces per card. There's 3 of them, 3 bases. So that's 15. So I do want to say be sure to plan accordingly with the wood. So that, then I did also cut the envelope. This is that small envelope that I told you I would not use as an envelope. Here is how perfect this piece looks. Here is one of the other card bases that I cut up, and how perfectly this goes with it. So that's the one piece, and then I have put the inside of it, which is the brown that you see. It's pecan pie. I just got this embossing folder. This is the plaid embossing folder. Let's see what it's officially called. I in fact had just received a small order of some holiday bits and pieces, and it just happens that some of them go perfectly. So here is what the plaid is. Here's what it's called. It is brand new, so I have not yet made my label. I have taken to labeling all of my embossing folders so that when I talk to people and I do these videos, I don't have to look up the name. However, this is just brand new. And yes, this is a giant embossing folder. They have now taken to doing a few of these in the larger size, I believe, for scrapbooking. The one tip, before I received this, my upline Libby and I were crafting, and she had this, and she mentioned that you need to make sure you center your, let's say you're doing an A2 size. This is a square, so it fits perfectly. But she wasn't careful and had done a misalignment. So if you do get one like this that has a regular pattern to it, there's a circle dots that's also large, that you would be careful. You want to center or offset your circle. So that's just a tip for the use of that. And then I'm going to run the pecan pie inside of the envelope through. The other thing with this piece is, because it is very vanilla, see how this side is white and that side is very vanilla, I am going to save it. Bless you. Sorry, Hub's behind me. And so I'm going to cut off the ends and keep this center just in case I need it. It is pretty soft and flexible, so if you don't have very vanilla, you can always take a piece of whatever your cardstock is. If you have like basic white, you can just glue this down and then magically you have very vanilla. So that is my tip for that. I then wanted to do my quick demo. I did use leaf fall. I have already ran this through because it is a white core, and Stampin' Up! Now sells some white core, I noticed, certain colors, so that's nice. You can check into that. Sanding block. So the sanding block can just take the cracking that's already there. Now if you don't want the cracking, a little tip, you can always spritz a little bit of a fine mist and run it through, and it should not crack. I always like to do my sanding, so I knew that it would probably crack, and I was okay with that. So in addition to, and I don't know if I'm going to cut this down or not, but if I wasn't going to cut it down, I could also sand. I'll just do this one side so you can kind of see how nice the white showing through ends up looking. I will say, in general, for me, my Thanksgiving cards, they're like my fancy cards that I send to family and my card making friends. I tend to make them a wow-like card, and so Keep that in mind. For me, the shabby chic look, I probably would not be going for, but I do also send some and hand them out, so it's not like I can't use this. I will definitely make use of it. So that is the wonderful white core technique, and that's why everybody should have a sanding block. That sanding block came from, I believe, the Dollar Tree in the like the tools aisle, and it is years and years old, and I sand with it. The front and back have not even been used, but look, the sides are finally, after 6-7 years, showing some wear. But I only use it for paper, so you keep track of this. This will be a one-time purchase. It probably will last me a lifetime. Okay, so that's the sanding trick, the envelopes cut down. Let's talk a little bit about the 3 small card bases. I cut the card base into 2. And then the very first thing I did was grab some vellum, and I have put a vellum behind so that I get more depth. And an example of this, if I find my wood grain, though we're not really going to do the design yet. If I wanted to, now keep in mind, I need to be really careful. I am going to be using these. I need to make at least 20 cards. I do want them all fancy. So when I use the 2-up, I use this wood base. I probably will not use this wood base with this circle. I'll show you another idea. But we've got this area, this offset area. So you can take this, I've also cut it down smaller, because another way to use this is to put these 2 pieces together and put them on a card front, like a very vanilla card front offset, and I can stamp on the very vanilla the sentiment. Here's the 2 sentiments stamped. I am going to do one thing with my filming. Oh, we're zooming. I see. That's not what I was trying to do. Sorry about that. This is what I'm trying to do. And actually, I've got evening light, and so I've got it set that I can change it from not being so warm that I would have it during the day in the natural light. So here are the 3 sentiments that I am probably going to use for my cards. Mostly the Sending Autumn Wishes Your Way. I absolutely love that sentiment, but in some cases I might want something bigger and more simple. So vellum, I think, is a great, we're trying to think of ways to dress things up. Now look at this. Here is this wonderful half moon. I have popped it up with dimensionals, used the mini dimensionals, and I can add whatever little doodads that I want. I know we're not doing mixing and matching, but I cannot resist mixing and matching. Okay, so adding vellum. Because of so many die cuts, I have trays, little dishes of die cuts. I'm not even adding any die cuts at all, because it seems, I can't even remember the last time that I had to do die cutting, because Stampin' Up! Has increased the amount of die cuts that you get, and they're very good quality, nice die cuts that I just don't feel like I need to add any more die cuts. But I will say, if the white is something you do not like, keep in mind we do get some that aren't white. So if you don't want to have white, you can fussy cut these out. You can use the Fisker's craft knife. Here is the craft knife. I have demoed it many times, but I have another demo to do. So this little craft knife you hold in your hand, you hold in your hand this way, and it swivels. It's a 360-degree swivel and is really easy to cut off any of the white. And these leaves are a perfect item to take the white off. I don't know if I would bother with this particular item. I think that the white is not as obvious to me, and so that one I wouldn't worry about. And then there is this leaf also comes without white, so you have like 2-3 of the foil copper, the wild wheat, and then this soft green. You also have blue without the white. So if you are inclined to make everything not have white, the Fisker's craft knife is a great option for you. And you can get it at Amazon or at any craft store, big box craft store, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann's. We'll have it, and you can use a coupon. Okay, so then we also have this last. I would not bother with trying to get the white off of that one. Okay, now we're on to the fun stuff. The fun technique that comes up ever so often. In fact, every single sheet of remnants I will bring out. Here's one that I threw away. So I look at it and I say, in this case I'm distracted by these colors, so I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to look and see if there's like an interesting pattern. I might take the section of it that has the interesting pattern and I will cut it out, and then I will show you how I would preserve it and turn it into a stencil. But we have these guys were all together, and I immediately, when I looked at them, went, oh my gosh, must make stencils. So here's my stencils. I decided to do and cut apart because there was more than one sheet. We have a mushroom, we have a big leaf, oops, a snail, the little leaf that's the copper leaf, and the piece of wood. This is actually very old. This washi tape is very old Stampin' Up! Washi tape. When I very first became a demonstrator, they would sell it in 3 packs, and it was a pack of black, and I have 2 of the widths left. This super fat stuff, but I only think I have a few wraps left. I think it's finally, because this core, I was like, wow, that's a lot left. That's actually a really thick core. So that is not a current product that you can buy. And here is what I played with. I made leaves. I used 5 colors. This is why I tell you guys what the colors are on the instructions, because I like to pull out the inks. So I had out and used Cajun Craze, Early Espresso, Pecan Pie, Copper Clay, and Wild Wheat. And then I also, though I haven't used it yet, I did pull out the Blueberry Bushel because that is one of the colors. And this is just a mix of the colors with the faded faint one, you know, kind of off behind, and the other 2 on top, and you can mix and match them and do a whole background. Some of them I got a little too dark. This is Wild Wheat. It actually looks like kind of chartreuse, maybe the lemon lime twist, but it is actually Wild Wheat, very wet. My ink pads are new, and so they are very wet still, even though I use them all the time. Then here is my little stencil ideas. I used Cajun Craze for the snail's top, the shell, and his body is pecan pie. Same with this mushroom, pecan pie, Cajun Craze. I took the wood and looked at, not this, I looked at this. I looked at this little guy, and I took pecan pie, Stampin' Right marker, and that's just Stampin' Right. You could, if you wanted the dark, you could use early espresso, whatever you want. That is just a handmade, and this is on copy paper. You could put it on very vanilla. You could put it on the basic white. You can fussy cut. However you want to use it, you could make a scene. You could use these stencils on the envelopes, on the insides of your cards. So I feel the first ones I did were with black. This is with the basic black, which is a Stampin' Right, and it sits like right here at my desk. But of course, right next to me, not even like an arm's length away, are all of these, because I have all of the storage trays. So I just reached over and grabbed this pecan pie because I wasn't very happy with how these came out. The twirl idea here, and this with these little dots, is just to replicate how they actually made his shell, and the swirl they put in it, and then the little dots for the eyes. I just mimicked what they did. You could do anything you want. Now I have a permanent set of stencils for this card kit. When this card kit is done, and I still have some pieces left over, which is very highly unlikely that I will have any left over, I have a collection of stencils in a box that has labels, and these will all get put in my stencil. I will keep them forever. They will last forever. I have a fun, extra special thing to do that I do, and that is I love to add little beads. These are called seed beads. They are really inexpensive. I will tell you that how I even got these seed beads, the ones I picked for this example are these multiple colored ones. I have my little seed bead case for card making. This was a gift years ago from my upline. So in here I have a variety of seed beads. I always buy them in combos. Because I mail most of my cards, I do have to be careful with how large some of these get, because I don't want them to make my card too fat when I send it through the mail. And my favorite selection that I have used the most actually is this particular set. And here is some different things you can do with them. And then here we go. I made a little cute ribbon. We're going to talk about this ribbon as well. And I just used my tiny attacher to attach this hangy version. So these are 3 different ways, and I'm going to show you really quickly how I basically feed. Here is the linen thread. It is the thinnest, and it's very easy to put the beads on. It is. I've used up all my round ones, and I still am working on this very old wrapped, and it has kinks in it, which I hate. I would much rather have curly twine. I love how it naturally curls. So any day of the week I will pick twine that's on rolls. I'm really glad when they changed to doing that. So basically I put a knot at one end, and sometimes I'll even start feeding the beads on without having cut off, because I don't know whether I'm going to want to do a bow. This I just made extra long. These seed beads are a variety of sizes, but with the linen thread you can easily take even the smallest one. This one has a very small hole, but it just goes right through. You can buy special needles. I don't have any of those special needles. They're really wiry and thin, and they'll go through even the tiniest seed beads. So with the thickness that, let's just grab one of these that I've already taken apart. So you just do your typical twirl. You can actually wet this if it's a little frayed with your fingers and get it as small as possible, and then take one of these seed beads. I don't even know if you need to be really careful when you buy seed beads, if you're like at Michael's at the big box store or whatever, but this is just a random selection, and they came this way. in a little tube. That one right there is probably too small for me to work with. And I have another use for those really small whole ones, but for me to just feed a few of these on, tie a knot, and I just do, I think it's a fisherman's knot where you loop. You just take this and you do like a double or triple loop, and it will then make it a fatter knot. So just keep loop it around one more time. This is actually a thicker thread than the linen thread, so it'll be easier to make the knot plenty big enough here to keep my few beads. And I only think you need like 3 beads, 3 or 4. Any colors will do. Random colors. Though I will say, you know, I am picking the colors that I want for the fall theme. Here is what it looks like with the different designs and patterns with the leaves. So if you want to make your, this is also really good if you like more whimsical style, not necessarily fancy frilly. Here's another one, you know, you've got gold. We're going to talk about this one here in a second. So that's a very different look than the look of the more kind of natural, earthy look that these particular linen threads look. So wanted to share that. And then we've got, if you are wanting, even with this linen, if you want it to be more colorful, I grabbed a bunch of different Stampin' Blends. I am going to tell you that the Stampin' Blend that I have had to replace the most, and it's not because it runs out of ink, it's because I use it so much every Thanksgiving time that I have replaced my pumpkin pie at least twice. And I have not had to replace my Christmas ones at all. Because when I use the pumpkin pie, I use it a lot, and I do lots and lots of the threads, where with the Christmas, I tend to like the gold and silver and this particular style, the iridescent. So I don't find that I have to color as much with the Christmas holiday and the winter theme. You know, this I will cut in half and I will make a fluffy bow out of this cut in half with some beautiful thread, metallic thread, to make it really shimmery. So here are some of my different treatments. One of them is this particular one. This is the basic beige 3/8 inch patterned. This right here has 3 colors on it. And I can see on the outer edge the copper clay, and then it has some of the Cajun craze, and then I finally did a coating of the pumpkin pie, and I should have known that pumpkin pie was going to be the winner. Here is one that I did the copper clay, and it's interesting, it's so thick that on this side the sheen where it's kind of satiny looking is not as colored, and then the tighter weave is a darker color, and then the back is the inverse of it. So when you do a knot or a bow, this will look fantastic and shimmery, and all I had to do was color it with the blends. And so I'm sure many people know. Here is what the iridescent looks like. I even have a bow, a finished bow, floating around here. I believe this was done with copper clay, and I think that that is very nice, very, very fancy. Then I wanted to, I'm trying to replicate the copper, and that's where I really think pumpkin pie, that's these kind of coppery colored leaves. So the gold, 1/8 trim, it's a combo. You get gold and you get silver. So the one side is gold. I went ahead and did, I might have done pumpkin pie on this one. So one side has the little thread of the fabric running through with the weaving of the gold metallic on the outsides. The other side is all metallic. Here is one that I did with the very dark, I believe I did the dark copper clay. So all sorts of options, pretty much. It's, I know what I haven't done. I have not discussed the bling. So for the bling, which you saw what I have, these are new. They came in the box. Adhesive backed metallic gems. These are like a little bit of a throwback to me. But what I like about them is that they are the copper. So I actually haven't even taken them out yet and prepared. I like to have a sampling of the different gems so that when I give you the ideas and the mixes and matching, as well as for my photography, the adhesive on the back of them I actually peel off so that I can easily swap them out. Then when I'm done with my video, I will go ahead and add glue to stick them onto whatever their final destination card is. These copper are actually colored silver. I haven't even tried to color these dark smoky slate ones, but the matte silver come out looking like this, and I believe I used Cajun Craze. I did not use pumpkin pie on those, and they came out, because remember, I already have a silver, a very cold color, and so I went ahead. You can even see where I've done multiple layers, and the amount, it's almost like it's marbly looking. And then I have not used, I try for the holidays, though last year I ended up using, I think this is my, they're in here are 2 sets, and all of the gold ones are gone because I used these last year for my Christmas cards. But I will use these just selectively. I will probably stick with trying to use more beads, because again, for me, Thanksgiving is my fancy holiday cards. And then for the masculine cards that I need to make to go with my wood, I will be using these. I bought these specifically for masculine cards. They are called adhesive backed textured dots. I am not opposed. If I had to do a masculine card and I wanted a little bit of bling to it, I would probably choose sequins over pearls. That's just kind of me. I think of sequins as a little more neutral. And then I do also have these white, and they're gold, but I think that they also are a good option. They're kind of creamy. They look almost like they are very vanilla over white with a little bit of gold in them, and they are the adhesive backed swirl dots. But I am firmly of the mind that you can use your alcohol markers to color any of these. The pearls, we now have iridescent pearls. We've got, these are left over from a kit, so you could color these with the dots, with the blends. And then I have some others. So those are what I'm going to be focusing on using for the masculine, and then the silver that I've made copper sitting here up top. And I have not prepared these yet, so I'm going to go ahead and pop these off and get them ready so that I can come back, do my final segment with you, and then we will have the showcase at the end, and this month will be complete, and it is a fantastic kit. All right, I'm going to do some quick mock-ups. I might not do so much mixing and matching because I actually had enough pieces here that I'm just going to flow through. I've used up most of my time already showing all of the prep. So here is my first fun design. Crisscross with the little beads attached with the tiny attacher. The next 4 designs are all going to be using, so we're going to start with doing the wood layouts. A big leaf. You could pop up the leaf if you wanted. I hadn't popped it up. And then you could actually use another piece of this trim colored behind, but we have these wonderful Cajun Craze matte strips that were provided for free, so that's what I have put behind the sentiment. And then I used the these are actually pink with the swirls And then the swirls are little copper lines. Well, they're gold lines, but because they're so small, they just have a nice neutral look to them. And this is a full A2 size, very vanilla, with the Leaf Fall embossing folder. I don't know if I showed you all of the patterns that I am using. You're going to see them, but I'm going to show them really quick. We've got Leaf Fall, we have the Plaid, we have Bark 3D, I think that's it, Bark 3D, or Timber 3D, sorry, and then the Plaid, and then the Leaf Fall are the 3 embossing folders that I have picked, and they will all be represented here today. So that is the first one. Card number 2, a little bit fancier, using the mushroom and the snail, with the copper clay embossed with Leaf Fall. Another strip of the trunk, thinking of you with a circle at the center of the trunk, the very small, bright colored sprig of leaves. I even have, as a little change out or an addition, you could put this copper leaf in. I don't even know if this is copper or rose gold. I'm not quite sure. And in a moment, oh, because back here on this card that I just set aside, this is actually an old piece of rose gold that's retired. This is a sort of a matte foil. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So whatever copper foils you have, I think would go very well with this kit because of the copper splats. Okay, so setting that aside. So there's this one. These are all full, all of these with the trunk slice because they are so large. None of them are matted exterior. They're just strips. You could easily take them down an eighth, top and bottom, and then make them the traditional 4-sided mat. And then this, I never do horizontal cards, so I had to make myself do a horizontal. This copper strip, which actually tells me it's rose gold, is a little bit too small because I actually undercut it. Then I took a piece, I added some more beads. I've got blue here. There's a reason why I did some extra blues on there. I did the with thanks, and there's some looping going on that's hiding that you could expose. I have some Scotch tape holding it down. I did the bright leaves. You could decide any of these leaves. You could do a large oak stuffed in behind. I would want my beads to show. I might, if I did that, not want these small leaves. This is a piece of the basic beige trim going across. You could also take, if you had pieces of this that you wanted to use up, you could cut it in half and stretch it so that it showed out on either side of this long banner that says with thanks. We have, trying to find all my things, there is a gold bow. This is the dark. See how this has the, I believe this is the pecan pie. I'm going to make it into a bow really quickly so we can see. Some of it will be the one side. I already showed you that one side has the exterior with the gold and the other side is solid gold. I am not the best bow maker. I am definitely not fast at making bows. My hands are way better than they used to be. Years ago, it was a huge struggle for me to do anything with my hands, but they are doing fairly well. So you can also add that style of bow and remove this. Like I said, my goal is going to be, there we go, is going to be to stretch out these trunk bases to make 15 if I have my way. Another piece I didn't show you is, here's the dark, that's even darker, but I believe it is copper clay, and it's with silver. But I decided that that wasn't going to really be a good fit, so it's just left attached. So that's number 3. Now, to do number 4, and then I'm going to pause the camera and get the next base out, because I'm only made one set of like the sentiments. Okay, so now we have this the full page, which I am not going to use, but I did want to show you a fun design. So if I have this vellum circle, this is busy, 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 and it's using way too many materials for what I want to do with the kit, but if you wanted to go all out on a fewer number of cards and make them extra special, I'm giving some examples of that. So we've got a potential leaf. I am grabbing the circle thinking of you. So we've got circles and circles and circles. And I've noticed that even though we have very vanilla, all of the labels are done in white. So if you have noticed that, it is true. And if you want to minimize that, you could also sponge the Cajun craze around the edges to separate the colors a little bit because they are so close, and then I think that would be a nice way to deal with that. I need to grab my little riser. I have a collection of those. So I kind of liked this whole circle with circle with circle. And these are once were silver, and I colored them to make them copper. I even am totally okay with having one be on just like that. And then if you're okay with that, you can add any kind of a bow down here with the leaf. I don't have a photograph of that. There's going to be a lot that I'm going to come up with, and I won't have photography. So that exhausts all of my ideas for the trunks. This is a bonus design. Like I said, it uses too many of the pieces for what I would want. And I'm going to pause, regroup, and we're going to work on another of the bases. All right. I have a nice simple card using the small 3x3 square note card. Actually, that's like a 4x4 square note card. Now, I wanted to let you know that there are 2 different tones of the oak leaf. I believe that's an oak leaf, something like that. There's a reddish one and a yellowish one. And you could add some additions we can make. You can, well, if you're gonna do the copper, it has to be done out here. And if you want some sort of bow, you can go with a more natural bow. I guess earthy bow. You can say, nope, I really want a more iridescent bow. I still haven't found my gold bow that I made. It's floating around here somewhere. I do have yet a 3rd sprig if you want. That coordinates. There's a green sprig of it in the back. It is catching on the copper. And then I did use the pearls, the big pearls that were silver that are now copper thanks to the blends. All right, so there's one using the flowers. This one's a nice whimsical one with a lot of white space on it. I love my white space cards. So I have the knotted with Scotch tape. It's just looped with the blues, and here is why I did those 2 blue beads, to add interest to the blue that's already on the card base. The big with thanks. You could do something like the breast cancer ribbon, like a straight fishtail from the top. Oops, and get rid of, you could either get rid of that and have something different. Attach some beads. You can have it hang over here. Nope, it's gonna have to be over here. It's so funny how when I start moving things around, nope, that's not gonna work. Now I didn't think of any other pearls or anything because of these, but I don't think that if you put these metal dots, I think that they actually go just fine. I just really like the snail popped up with the with thanks, kind of like he's moving along the sentiment. I think that's very cute. If this leaf weren't here, I would also be interested in a mushroom. You know, and then see, because we have this red and this blue leaf, I didn't really feel that I needed to do more than the snail. But I will, just to show you, let's see, if you add the mushroom, it kind of covers that leaf. So it's kind of some careful arranging that has to happen. And that's the second one. Next, we're going to work on this. We're getting close to the end. I know I am over an hour now, for sure. So we've got this cute little floating leaf with a sentiment. It just all has to be carefully lined up. If you wanted, you could do a take a piece of trim here. Scissors. I haven't cut it yet, so let's cut this. I wanted it at an angle because I'm just matching the angles that it already has. Let's see if I made it long enough. Now, here's the trick. Since I didn't make it long enough, and I would like it to be sticking out more, you can always just cut it in the middle and then figure out where you like it sticking out and then attach it to the sentiment before you attach it to the card itself. Right? Still want that. I'm wanting it to look like it's floating above the foliage down below. It has already separated itself from the tree and is free floating. Okay, so now there's any number of bead arranging that you can do. These are the copper. Oh, and then this one, I actually colored it copper. It was silver. I wanted to explore how well that worked. So 2 of these are copper from the sheet that had silver, gold, and copper. And that one I colored with Cajun Craze. And I really like that card a lot. A lot, a lot. And before I let this one go, I am going to remove this. After this one, I have one last one. And then we will be done. But you will still have a very large gallery of photos to peruse for further inspiration. You can also freeze the video at any point. When I go through to make my cards, sometimes it can be 3 months since I made my kit. In this case, I'm going to be making these right away. Within this month, I will be working on them, so the kit won't even be put away. But there are times that I get really busy after like January, and I might not get to a kit until 5 months later. And at that point, I go to my video and I go through and stop my video to see what I want to make. I pick out my favorites, and I even go through the mix and match section. So this is my next one where I want to emphasize the blue, and that's where I made this special loop-de-loop. And I could even trim, this is all excess right here. I could loop it, stick it to itself like that, and then it will be able to hide better. Okay, so we are going to put together a lovely blue card. This is so unique for Thanksgiving and fall. I really like it. It is different. Let's build this up. To hide that Scotch tape. I think that this was a very good color with the pop of the blue. And I already have some photography of this, like 5 different ways. That was the first thing I did, was I fell in love with the blue and I immediately went and worked on the blue. So there will be a lot more photographs of that. And then you can swap this out for the bigger pieces. You can also very easily, if we just take this whole little array and hide these copper. Pop on the thinking of you. I even like the end of the leaf showing. So you've got 3 completely different style of leaves. And then there was, I really wish I could find that gold. I think I've even done photography with that gold bow. But you guys don't see the rest of my desk. You're gonna go, well, that would be why you can't find it. I really like this. So here we go. This is probably one of my favorites because it's so different than the typical. And then I also really like the snail with thanks one. Okay, so I now have one more. And I really need to let you guys go. This is always my all day thing. Okay, so I have these elements. I colored them with my stencils, made my little stencils, cut them out. And you could go way darker with them. There's all sorts of things you could do with them. I just wanted to show. Now, the other thing too about those stencils is that you can reverse them. I noticed that the snail on the stencil that I created is going one way, and the actual snail here is going the other way, and you can just take the stencils, here's the snail, and you can just flip it. You can work on it either side, both sides, doesn't matter. I taped up both sides, by the way. It's a little bit tacky, and I'm okay with a little bit tacky because it is just washi tape. It'll just help stick it down. So you can make your image go either direction. if it is directional. Okay, so I've got these two behind the vellum, so they're in the distance, and then I have this sweet little forward mushroom, and I need to get this little snail. So I like how you could do your stenciling in the background. And then, you know, I'm just using, this is a square, so you can play with how you trim it down to make it directional. I always am not very good at doing horizontal cards, so I wanted to force this to be a horizontal card by adding the sentiment. I've got to get all the way through, have dimensionals behind the, so we have to move the snail over, and I want the mushroom underneath the sentiment. Careful placement. There we go. And this is all creamy and clean. I love the little addition of the copper leaf for gems. We'll use this one. I'm even going to put it on the snail. So there is a very cute scene. And I believe I've gone way over. I hope you have enjoyed this kit as much as I have. It is going to make the most fantastic Thanksgiving cards. I talked about added materials, the stencils. If you wanted to not go with the, you could do, I do have these sitting here I didn't even share, and that is of course small rhinestones that you can color. Again, with the alcohol markers, you can pretty much color almost anything with alcohol markers, which makes them very useful. I found it. Oh, this is the later one that I made. I'm going to put it down though. I just have to trim that one side. So, if you have empty space, it is totally okay to add a bow. You could put the bow up here. That's probably where I like it. Yep, there you go. I found a bow. All right, everybody. Enjoy this kit. Do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing. And I will be back here again for the next month's alternatives. There might even be some extra cards popping in, some short walkthroughs of anything else that I am doing for the holidays. And everybody take care, and I will see you then.